With me now is Deputy Press Secretary at the White House, Lindsay Walters. Lindsay, thanks for joining me this afternoon. I know you guys are busy there. First and foremost, the president says he's pleased that the Democrats have come to their senses in order to reopen the government. But what now, as you have a seemingly growing coalition of senators, otherwise called the Gang of 60, as Senator Lindsey Graham is calling it, that may offer up a long-term deal that looks a lot like the one that President Trump already rejected. So at this hour, is the president confident that his needs will be addressed?
Good evening. It's great to be with you. As you heard and you said yourself, that the president is eager to get to talking about real immigration reform. Today alone, he's had 6 Republican senators and 2 Democrats over to the White House to begin this process. This is something the president feels very strongly about, that we need responsible immigration reform. And as he promised, when the Democrats are ready to open up the government, we would resume negotiations, which is what we're doing. And we've taken that first step this afternoon.
Well, Lindsay, let's talk about just that first step. He met with a group of Republican senators a little bit ago, including Cotton and Perdue, some of your less moderate Republicans. And he also more recently met with Joe Manchin and Doug Jones, Democrats. So can you tell us what the idea is there? And because these are the first meetings he's had with senators since the shutdown on Friday. How did those meetings go?
The president was very clear on Friday that as long as the Democrats had the government shut down, we were not going to be negotiating. As he said, when the government opened up, we would begin those, and that's why those individuals were over this afternoon, so we can start having a conversation and negotiating to ensure that we get a real and responsible immigration reform for all American people. And these are the conversations that are starting to take place. And you saw them today, and the president said it's important that we work across both sides of the aisle. We need to have Republicans and Democrats on board to do what they were elected to do, and to make sure that come the March deadline that we have in place real immigration reform to fix the DACA issue we're currently facing.
And Lindsay, you just mentioned it, that March deadline. Has the president talked about that March 5th deadline and that moment, if the Democrats are not willing to deal going forward, that moment when upwards of 700,000 DACA recipients can be deported?
At this point, we're hopeful that Congress will do their jobs and that they'll be able to come together, both Republicans and Democrats, and have immigration reform that the president is ready to sign ahead of that date. So we haven't gotten into speaking to what will happen post the March deadline, because we're hopeful that we won't get to that point and that conversation won't have to take place.
All right, and as the president prepares for his first State of the Union address, of course, coming up in just 8 days, can you give us some insight? This is a little insider info here into the effect that this shutdown has had on his overall message to the American people. I know he's working with his speechwriters. Can you give us some inside info there?
And the president and the administration was very clear that this was a senseless shutdown. What did the Democrats really gain? You look at what they decided to vote on today, it's no different than what was offered on Friday. So what did Chuck Schumer and his party really accomplish by depriving the military and federal workers funding over the weekend? Nothing. And so obviously the president is focused on all Americans, as he has been since his agenda from taking office a year ago. And heading into the State of the Union, the president will come out with a powerful speech.
Okay, and finally, of course, that's coming up on January 30th. Last question, Lindsay, can you confirm the president's plans to attend that World Economic Forum in Switzerland now that things are happening as they are on Capitol Hill right now?
At this point, if things go as they should for the rest of the evening and we get through the final Senate vote as well as the House comes through, then yes, it does look like we will continue with plans as is, should the night play out the way we think it will.
Okay, we shall all wait and see. White House Deputy Press Secretary Lindsay Walters, thank you so much.
We can use your help. Call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call today.